All right, and we are on and
We
on,
are
Deval.
live. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. We haven't spoken in ages.
We haven't spoken in a while. This is a joke because Deval and I, we've been speaking for the last hour, and we just haven't hit record.
Hour
So
and a
we
half.
hour and a
Freaking
half. Sorry, we just that's all we've been doing. All right, okay. Listen, look. So you are listening to episode 279.
Yep.
So this is the 16th of March, and well, for us anyway, 16th of March. But when you hear it, it's probably going to be the 18th or the 19th of March, whatever. So
Yep.
listen, we've got a great show for you. We've got a short show for you, so we want to kind of get a lot in,
Mm.
so that we can get back to watching all the good stuff. So listen, Deval, let's do shout outs.
Yeah, shout outs this week. So we got first of all, it's good to have Zach Ruff on the show last week. It's
Mm,
a long time coming. So big shout out to Zach Ruff, and also he put out a really good story on Instagram,
mm,
which I followed up with a nice little post just to say to everyone that he was on the show. And then from that, Ciel Noir 3,
yeah.
nice little comment on the show saying that she appreciates. And again, Ciel Noir 3, we're going to have her on the show again one day as
Oh,
well because she's a
yeah,
great
man.
person. Go check out her page on Instagram.
Yep.
And then we had Rochelle Pamela. Rochelle
Mm.
Pamela. Rochelle Pamela. She she sent out some love on Instagram. Just I think she's actually speaking another language. I'm not sure what she was saying, but it sounded good. I hope it was good.
I hope it's all good. Yeah,
I hope it was good.
she wasn't cussing
Uh,
us.
I don't think so. It looked like it was. I think it might have been Dutch. I don't know, but let's see. So yeah, big shout out to you,
Wicked,
Rochelle
big shout.
Pamela. Keep listening to the show, and yeah, hope you enjoy.
Ah, brilliant. All right, okay, let's get on to movie news. Um, okay, so now Deval, I mean, I know, man. Listen, I know you're not a Harry Potter fan. I know
Nah.
you haven't seen the movies, but these movies have raked in over 1 billion, more than 1 billion. So really, really kind of popular. The movies, the books, just as popular as well. There's talk of them, of HBO, Warner, whatever. They're gonna do like a TV show. So the Harry Potter universe hasn't died down. So you've got some news for us on this.
It's a bit of funny news, to be honest. Yeah, do you know what? I'll be honest. I've never watched Harry Potter.
Mm.
I've never watched it. I was put off by his face. Nothing personal to him, but just the Harry
I
Potter
know what you
character. I
mean.
was like, who's this
Yeah,
boy? Nah, forget it. But I know it's
yeah.
a massive thing. Lots of people enjoy it. Kids, adults all over the world. But the
Mm.
news is, Miriam Margoyles, she
Mm.
plays like a witch-looking type character in
Yeah,
Harry Potter. I don't even know what the character. Oh, Professor Sprout. That's what
yeah. She
she's
plays a
name.
teacher in there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So she said in an interview recently that basically, I'm kind of, am I quoting? I think I'm quoting. Yeah, I am quoting. If your balls have dropped, then it's time for you to forget about Harry Potter.
Potter. Okay,
That's what she's saying.
that's
She's
it.
saying if your
That's
balls have
interesting.
dropped, move on. So she's basically saying like Harry Potter was made for children. It was made for
Mm.
kids, not for adults. But adults obviously love it still. But
Yeah.
you got to move on. Other stuff, that's it. So
there's
I
there- there's
agree.
other there's other stuff out there, like, yeah, like, because man, those Harry Potter fans, man, they're hardcore,
Yeah,
man, seriously.
they are. They are. They are.
They're 100% hardcore. And they're probably going to have a kitten when the news gets announced about this new show. All right, let's speak more about Warner Brothers. So Deval, we know that James Gunn, he's taken over from the kind of the DC film
Yeah.
universe stuff. We know that Wonder Woman was a huge hit for Warner Brothers. Then they greenlit a second one. Now, I can't remember if the second one did as good as the first one, but I know the first one was a big hit.
You're gonna laugh. Yeah.
Um, exactly. And we had Pedro Pascal, and we had Chris Pine. He came back. So what's happening? Do you reckon we're going to get a third one?
I hope not. The first one was
Yeah,
okay. Even though the first
yeah,
one was okay, box office wise, it done really good. I think it done like
really good.
800
It did 1 billion, didn't it, or
million.
something?
I think nearly a billion. I think it done like
Okay.
800 million or something like that.
Mm.
Second one, Wonder Woman 1984, was
Was
rubbish.
Yeah,
It did come
absolutely.
out kind of during lockdowns and stuff like that, but still, it was rubbish. Just a bad
Mm.
film. So at the moment, they're saying that there's no plans to do a third one. There was some plans a little while ago. Those plans are being scrapped for
Yeah,
now. Patty Jenkins has said whenever it happens, it happens. But I think she's moving on to
it's
other
not going to
projects
happen,
and
right?
stuff. Yeah, I don't think so. James Gunn and what's his name, Peter Safran. They're the new sort of
Yeah.
DC Warner Brothers sort of big wigs. They don't have any plans at the moment. They released a lot of plans recently with Superman Legacy and well, just Superman now and
Superman
other
now. Yeah.
films. So Wonder Woman's going to have to take a back seat. So, but you know what? I'm
Mm.
happy about that. Let's do some other stuff until they get Wonder Woman right because she's a wicked character. Get
Yeah.
her right, and then do it properly. Otherwise, don't do it at all.
Or don't do it at all. Exactly,
Yeah.
just leave them there. All right, let's move on to Scream. Now, I think I spoke a little bit about this before, but check this out. There was a bit of a controversy around this because one of the lead actresses from the movie, she said a few things which were a bit controversial because of the Israel and Palestine kind of
Mm.
war that's going on, and then because of that, Deval, the makers of the movie, they basically said ciao. They basically cut her out, and then because of that, Jenna Ortega, she said, "I'm leaving." And then there was a bit of a kind of right, okay, what's going to happen with the franchise because they were going to make another one. And the reason why Neve Campbell, she didn't appear in the last movie was because there was controversy around her salary. She asked for
Mm.
more money. They didn't give her that money, but now look who's come back knocking because those other two have left. They've now brought on Neve Campbell, so she is set to return in the new Scream movie. So she announced recently, she goes, "It's been such a blast and an honor to play Sydney in the Scream movies. I'm coming back," and they've roped in Kevin Williamson, who Duval was the writer of the original Scream movie.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's coming back to direct it. They're bringing back Nev, and those movies have talking about movies that have taken a lot of money. Those movies have done a lot, man.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. If you're a Scream fan, then go check those movies out. I did watch the most recent one, which was set in New York, and it was not too bad. All right,
Okay.
now let's speak about this, Deval. Finally, Venom 3 is going to be happening. It's the final movie in the Venom franchise. And here's the thing, we've got a title. And check this out. I'm not sure what I think about this, or, maybe I can get your thoughts on this, but it's called Venom 3 The Last Dance.
Okay.
So what people are saying and what
Okay.
I'm thinking is this is going to be Venom's, so Eddie Brock's and Venom's last kind of the last hurrah together. They're going to fight some big bad, and then they're going to go their separate ways. Eddie gets the girl in the end, and then Venom, the symbiote, maybe attaches itself onto someone else,
Okay.
or it dies.
Mm.
And then we've got the symbiote that was left in the MCU.
Ah, okay. Okay. I see where you're going with that.
Yeah. So there's a couple of kind of theories that
Mm.
are flying out. So I think Eddie no longer needs the symbiote or it dies. And then
Yeah.
Eddie basically gets the girl at the end. You know, the one he's been chasing
Yeah.
for the last couple of movies
Yeah.
or whatever.
They split
And
up.
then they
Yeah.
split up. Yeah. Then he gets her back and then the symbiote dies. And then I think what's going to happen is we've still got Venom, but in the MCU.
Mm.
So in this universe, he dies, but then in the other one, we've still got it. So I don't know. But yeah, The Last Dance.
Do you know what? Venom for me, again, well, it's one of those ones I haven't really liked. I think the Sony
Yeah.
Marvel movies haven't been overall that great.
No.
Tom Hardy, I guess he likes playing it. Maybe he gets paid good money, but I don't
Yeah.
think they're that good. So I'm glad it's the last dance.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Finally,
man.
just finally on this, figures wise, the first movie took
Yeah,
856 million worldwide.
yeah, yeah.
The second one took 507 million.
And this one will take less. You watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will just kind of like, diminishing returns. All right. So those are your, oh, sorry, Oscar wins. Let's quickly do this. So Deval, we were right.
I was just gonna say real quickly, yeah, like literally, I think we mentioned about Emma Stone winning for Poor Things.
Yep.
I definitely mentioned that, and it's good to see she did win that. I think well deserved.
Mm.
And then Oppenheimer won a bunch of awards. Best
Yep.
Director, so Christopher Nolan's first award for that. Robert Downey, Best Supporting Actor.
Yep.
Cillian Murphy, Happy St. Patrick's Day for all our Irish friends there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He won for Best Actor. So it looks like Oppenheimer done really, really well. So it was good to see finally Christopher Nolan got his Oscar.
That was good to see.
So
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and also apparently he's going to get a massive payday because Deval
Oh,
it hit past the 1 billion mark.
oh, is it?
He apparently his payday is 100 million
Is it? That's
because he took he
cheap.
he. He's taken he's had one of those deals where he takes a
Yeah.
slice off the box office.
Ah, decent.
There you go,
Decent.
folks.
Decent. Okay. Nice
Decent,
one.
decent, decent. Yeah. All right, let's get on to new one streaming. So I want to quickly mention this one. So I've watched it. I actually, yeah, managed to watch this over about 2 days.
Oh,
This
you
is
did?
Gris. Yeah, man. This is
Ah.
decent. This is called Griselda. This is a kind of Netflix TV show about the simplest way that I can put it is she's the female version of Pablo Escobar. So she ran. So
Oh.
she was around before. So Pablo Escobar was probably the 80s and 90s. She
Mm,
was around in the 70s and 80s. So this Griselda, she was a narco trafficker. She was basically selling drugs in Colombia first.
mm,
Then she has to get out of Colombia. She gets to New York, gets to Los Angeles, and then she realizes that there's a massive kind of gap in the market, and then she brings over women from Colombia to Miami, and
mm,
they're bringing in drugs via the airplane, and then it's such a massive kind of a market over here, and then she basically takes over the whole of Miami. She gets kind of Los Angeles,
mm.
and there's basically she goes crazy. She starts shooting people up. She starts killing people. She gets control of the whole of the drug trade going over there, man. It's decent. And
Is it?
Sofia Vergara,
Yeah.
who was I'm used to seeing her
Modern
in
Family.
Modern
She's
Family.
yeah. Is she Griselda? She's the main person.
She's Griselda.
Is it? I didn't
Man,
know that.
she's
Okay,
like she's
okay.
killing people, she's swearing,
Is
she's basically
it?
doing drugs.
I
Man,
need to
there's
watch this. I
everything.
need to watch
It's
this. I need to watch
decent.
this. I need to watch
It's
this. I need to watch
decent.
this.
Now the only thing is, if you look at Sofia Vergara and you look at
Mm.
the real Griselda, nothing like each other.
Oh, okay.
No, the real Griselda, man, she looks like a Smurf. She's
Is
just like,
it?
yeah, man, she's just
Oh
like
my
nothing.
gosh, that's
Yeah, the way that they do these, the way that they do this casting, but I get it, because you have to get someone famous enough to play the
yeah,
role,
yeah.
right?
Someone that's
But it's
got the
decent.
pull as well. They want
It,
people to watch because of her as well. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. So this is Sofia Vergara like you've never seen her before.
Okay, nice.
Decent,
On Netflix,
decent,
then,
decent.
yeah.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Yeah. So tell
Okay.
us about Invincible Man Part Two.
Yeah, Invincible Part Two. So this is Part Two, Episode 5, I think it is.
Five, I think.
So
Yeah.
this is out now on Amazon. And you know what?
Mm,
I actually didn't realize that until just today. So
mm,
Invincible. If you haven't seen Invincible, first of all, go and watch it. You know, it's like, well, if I can liken it to anything, Marvel, DC, it's animation,
mm,
but it's hardcore. It's literally rated R, like 15 or 18. There's blood, there's all kinds of shit. There's real hardcore stories that go on
mm.
in Invincible, voiced by great actors. J.K. Not Rowling, what's his name?
J.K. Simmons,
J.K. Simmons. You got
Stephen,
Stephen Yun. So you got Glenn from Walking Dead. You got what's her name? Yeah.
Zazie.
Zazie Beetz is in it. You
Yeah.
got lady from she was in ER and she was also in
Michelle O. Is
Shell
it
O.
Michelle O?
That's the one. Yeah,
Sandra O.
Sandra O. That's the one. Sandra O.
Yeah.
So you got some really good actors voicing this. Animation is great. I ain't gonna talk much more. Go and
Mm.
watch it. If you haven't seen it before, go watch it from the start. If you have seen it before, part two is available now. So stop wasting time. Amazon Prime. Do
There you
it.
go. Let's do new trailers. And Deval, I haven't seen the first two, so tell me about these ones. This is called Dead
Mm.
Male. So what, horror film? I'm
Dead
assuming.
Note, yeah, it's like a horror film. It's weird. It's one of those weird horror films. It looks like an A24 stroke. It's like if A24 kind of met. I don't want to say Saw, but I don't know.
Mm,
You know, it's just weird. I can't even describe it. But yeah, it's basically this one is. I think it's set in the 80s. There's a man chained in a room, and somebody receives a dead male, which is basically a male from someone who's about to die. I believe.
mm.
I think that's how they describe it.
Ominous.
Yeah, very ominous. The trailer is like a minute and a half. It doesn't really tell you much, but you kind of get the gist that something crazy is happening,
Yeah.
and the sort of cast list is pretty much unknown. I'll read out the synopsis. It says an anonymous help note finds its way to a 1980s post office, connecting a dead letter investigator to a kidnapping of a keyboard technician.
Mm.
So it's got 7.8 rating so far, on
Yeah.
7.4 rating on IMDb, and it just seems like one of those films that you just want to find out a bit more of. So when it
Yeah.
comes out, it's coming out soon actually, but when it comes out, I'm going to give it a watch. Dead
Yeah. Sounds
Male,
interesting.
yeah, yeah.
That sounds interesting. All right, and the next one that you've got on there, very very interesting title, An American Society of Magical Negroes. Now, I'm assuming because with that word in the title, this is set in an era when that word was used.
No, it's set now.
Oh, is it? Okay, wow.
From
Yeah,
what I can see, it's set now. This one stars again. We spoke about the trailer, I think last week or week before, about the TV Shining. What was that film?
yes.
Uh,
Uh,
it's got basically this has got Justice Smith in it. Justice Smith is looking very versatile.
mm,
He's very versatile, and this has got among other actors in there as well. But he's the main actor. This
yeah.
film, a young man, his name's Aaron, is recruited into a secret society of magical black people who dedicate
Okay.
their lives. They're magical black people, yeah, who dedicate their lives to the utmost importance. And the thing that they've got to try and do is basically making white people's lives easier. Yes,
Oh,
they go around doing these magical things to make white people's lives easier, because if their lives are easier,
easier.
our lives are
Our
easier.
lives are going to be easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Okay. It's
the
going to
film
be
is
an
weird.
interesting take on it.
Weird film. It's just you got to
Yeah.
watch the trailer just to see a flavor of what kind of things
Mm,
they could be talking about, setting scenarios of making white people's lives easier.
easier.
You,
Yeah.
you you sort of get it if you get it, but the
Yeah.
trailer kind of shows it. I ain't gonna say much more. Watch
Okay.
the trailer. Watch
Well,
the
I want to watch
trailer.
the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
watch
want
the
to watch the
trailer.
trailer. This is interesting. All right. Okay. Let's move on to something kind of like, the title's going to give this away. So this is The First Omen. So Deval, this is a prequel to the 1976 movie. And
Mm,
so, like people are doing this now, like, they're going back to the original and whatever.
mm, mm.
This is coming out, mate, in, what are we now? In March? April the 4th. This movie's
Okay.
coming out. So it's starring, well, mind you, it's got Ralph Ineson. He was in Game of Thrones. Bill Nighy, who's a kind of like big British
Mm,
actor, and so the first Omen movie was about obviously the birth of the son of the devil, and how he then obviously becomes
mm,
he grows up to becoming someone with power. This movie is leading up to that birth. So
mm,
who is the mother
mm,
who gives birth to this child who's going to be basically the son of Satan? And the trailer is set in Rome. It's got lots of people saying, "Oh, you have to be careful." It's got a kind of the scary woman in there. It's got vibes of Smile. It's got vibes of um in oh
mm.
man, what was the one? The Nun, because it's set in a
Okay.
monastery. It's set in kind of like one where nuns are and everything like that. I don't know, Devout, if it's going to have enough to be for it to be a really decent movie,
Mm.
but
I'm
I'm
gonna
still
watch
going to
it.
watch
I'm
it.
gonna watch it. I think the girl, the main star in it, she's from The Servant, the M Night
Oh,
Shyamalan
oh, The
series on
Servant.
Apple
Oh yeah,
TV.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's in that, and that's a weird show. So if she carries on that weirdness, it could lend to it, you
I
know. So
mean, there's one, but when you see the trailer, there's one nun in there. I'm telling
mm.
you, she's scary. If I ever saw her walking down the street, I'd be like, no, don't bless me. Just like
Oh my
run,
gosh,
just run a mile
don't
because
say
yeah.
that.
So it's produced by David S. Goyer, who's written. Oh
Mm.
man, David S. Goyer's been behind some, you know, um, what was just off the top of my head? What's he been
Some
behind?
DC stuff. He done Suicide Squad and other stuff.
Yeah,
Blade. I think one of the Blades. I think he done Blade
Blades. He's
Trinity.
done.
I think it was Blade Trinity.
Yeah, he's been behind some stuff. So it's got some new guys, but it's also got like some of the old, like for example, Bill Nye. He's Oscar nominated.
Mm.
Ralph Ineson. He played a nasty character in Game of Thrones. He's a British actor. He
Oh,
was
he's
the
the one
one
with the
who
voice. He's got a
with
deep
that
voice. You know.
gruff voice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you've seen him. You know who I'm talking about.
Um,
So we'll check this out. Actually, this is coming out on the 4th of April.
yeah. And the main girl that's in it, she was in Game of Thrones as well. I didn't realize that.
Oh,
She was a young Marcella Baratheon. And
there you go.
she's the nun you're talking about. She's the weird looking nun.
Oh
She's in
man,
Servant. Do you know her name is? Wow.
what?
Her name is Nell Tiger Free. I wonder if she
Jeez,
changed her name. Nell
name
Tiger Free.
free.
Wow. There you
Okay.
go. Yep.
Yeah, so go check it out, folks. If you're listening and if you like a good scary movie, this one should be right up your alley. So that's coming out in April. Now let's move on to Anniversary Corner. So let's go medieval, let's go fantasy. This is
Go
a
medieval on your ass. Like Pulp
medieval on
Fiction.
your eyes. Yeah. So this is kind of like a legend, basically, like one of the oldest stories like known to humankind. King Arthur, the legend of King Arthur, the sword in the stone, Excalibur, all that sort of stuff. And it's a story, Deval, which people are still fascinated by, like all
Yeah.
these years.
Is King Arthur Sword in the Stone? Is that the one?
Yeah, so he takes out the sword in the
Yeah.
stone, and then he becomes King Arthur. It was the
Yeah.
one. Remember Guy Ritchie? He did one
He
recently,
done
didn't
one
he?
recently and Beckham showed up in it. Yeah.
Yes, he did one.
Uh,
So this one is from 20 years ago, 2004. Tell us about this one.
yeah, 2004. This stars Clive Owen. Clive Owen was a big star, at once in a
Yes.
time. Children of Men, among others.
Yep.
They said he
Great
was going to
film.
be the next James Bond, but he wasn't. So
Mm.
Clive Owen, Keira Knightley, Mads Mikkelsen, Ray Winstone, Joel
Oh,
Edgerton, Ray Stevenson. The list goes on. Directed by
on
Antoine Fuqua, who we saw brought us Denzel
Equalizer,
Washington, Equalizer. Also, didn't he do
Training Day.
Training Day as well? Exactly. So gangster director.
Mm.
So yeah, that's literally 20 years ago. It still ages quite well, especially with the cast list. It does age
Yeah.
quite well. So we just thought this would be a good sort of reminder of sort of sword in the stone kind of
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah.
of medieval kind of
Yeah,
type of
and that
thing.
fits. Yeah, absolutely, and it's a great movie for you to watch, and then maybe watch this next movie that we're going to be speaking about. So this is a brand new release on Netflix.
Hmm.
This is called Damsel, and it stars Billy Bobby Brown. It stars Ray Winston, who you just mentioned, Deval. It stars Angela Bassett, and for the life of me, I couldn't get like what kind of accent Angela Bassett was trying to do. But we'll speak about that in a
Yeah.
moment. So this movie, like I said before, is called Damsel, and the beginning of the movie is kind of interesting. She says, in kind of the normal fairy tales type of stories, it's the prince who saves the damsel in distress. And
Mm.
Billy Bobby Brown says, this isn't that type of a movie. So you know going into the movie that you're going to get a movie where it's not about kind of the prince saving the princess. It's going to be kind of, in our modern times, it's going to be kind of like a flip on that whole story. So yeah, so Deval, set it up for us and give us your take on it.
Yeah, so Damsel, you set it up quite well so far, and Damsel pretty much is a twist on the classic fairy tale of damsel in distress. Prince Charming comes and saves her, and Bob's your uncle kind of thing.
Hmm.
This one is a twist on that, but it does set itself up to be quite similar. So you got Millie Bobby Brown, who's from a rich family. Her dad is Ray Winstone, and her stepmom is Angela Bassett. So
Hmm.
I think they're kind of modernizing how families are these
I
days.
know, I
The
know.
traditional family isn't what it used to be, so they're kind of jazzed it up. So Millie Bobby Brown is betrothed to another family to marry their prince, and it's like it's a bit of a chess move. It's like something for the family because her family they're of high status, but they're not of high status. So for
Hmm.
them, they their I guess their kingdom is kind of poor a little bit. They
Mm.
haven't got that much money. Their GDP is low, and they want to
That's so
marry into
true.
they want to marry into a family with a higher
GDP.
GDP. Do you know what I mean? So that's what part of the arrangement is. So the
Yeah.
dad, Lee Winstone, a bit of a scruffy king, he agrees to it, sets the terms and conditions, and she agrees to it too because she knows she has to really.
Mm.
So she
To
meets the
save her
prince.
village.
Yeah, to save her village. She's doing it more for other people than herself.
Mm.
So they go off to the other kingdom. The other kingdom, the queen is. We saw her in Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman,
Robin White. Robin Wright. I'm gonna say Robin White.
who's
Robin
she's
White.
white as well.
Exactly. Queen Isabel. You saw her in House of Cards as well.
Yep.
So she's her son is the prince Nick Robinson, Prince Henry or Henry.
Henry.
Uh,
Yeah.
and they meet and they actually get on. They do get on, so things do seem quite nice. But you kind of sense an undercurrent, like a tone of evil around,
Mm.
especially with Robin Wright's character. She seems a bit malevolent.
Like
You know
that
what I mean?
wicked, that almost kind of like the
Yeah,
wicked queen like type of a
yeah,
role. Plays that one really
exactly.
well.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of sense it, and over time you realize that okay, they only want Millie Bobby Brown for a sacrifice.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So they basically something happened years ago with this dragon. I think they done bad to the dragon,
Mm.
and the dragon has now said, "Okay, because you've done me bad, I now want you to sacrifice X amount of people over X amount of time to call it quits."
Yep.
So then now that means that they have to find a queen, they have to find a new princess to sacrifice to the dragon, and this
Mm.
princess has to be married. So that's what it is. And then it gets to that point. Millie Bobby Brown, the new prince, they marry. He throws her down this hole into the dragon's pit. She survives, obviously,
Yeah.
and turns into Ripley from Alien. You know,
Exactly.
she just the
She's like
dress that she has
falling,
on.
just
Yeah,
yeah.
she falls and like you know how Rambo fell for the trees. She falls for the trees and she's got cuts and scrapes. The
Burns and
dragon, the
whatnot.
dragon singes her. She survives. Basically, most of the film is her in this underground cave,
Mm.
surviving,
Yeah.
literally surviving. I'm surprised Beyonce, not Beyonce, Destiny's Child wasn't playing in the background. I'm a survivor. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's most of the film. And actually, in like out of respect, she does do quite well at that. I'm not cussing Millie Bobby
Mm.
Brown at all. She does do quite well, and
Yeah.
she has grown as well from when we first saw her in
In
Stranger Things.
Stranger.
Little girl, she's now kind of like a young woman. Well, she is a young
Yeah.
woman. She's like I don't know, she's 19 or something now or
I,
20.
I actually think she's in her 20s, man.
Yeah, so she's old enough, and now she looks more like as a woman. So
Yeah.
she's able to sort of do that role a bit more believable, even though it's kind of not. But do you know what I mean? It's a bit more
Mm.
believable. So she does well in it. She comes across well. She's strong and she's defiant. She wants to survive, and she's in the tunnel. She's surviving somehow, just in using her environment to, you know, to sort of help her. The dragons attacking her now and again, and somehow she survives again and again. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but basically, um, basically, I don't know. So let me just spoil it a little bit anyway, because
Just spoil it, mate.
basically, her and the dragon come to an understanding because they realize they've both been wronged. They've
Mm.
both been wronged. So her and the dragon come to an understanding. This is after they fight and almost kill each other. And then she uses the dragon to come back at the queen, the evil queen,
Mm.
and get her revenge basically. And the dragon also
Y-
gets his revenge as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's kind of that's the sort of journey she goes on. She goes there, becomes a woman, becomes strong. The dragon and her become friends. She comes and gets revenge, and then they sail off into the sunset, basically.
Basically, and it's
Yeah,
weird because like those obviously those tropes, the kind of damsel in distress tropes and everything like that, there's none of that, because obviously
mm,
for hundreds of years, man, it's
yeah,
always been the guy
yeah, yeah,
saving
yeah, yeah,
the girl, and
yeah,
this kind of flips that. And I get it, man, they've had to update a lot of those kind
yeah.
of those stories for the modern day times, because
Mm,
women probably, girls, they probably see that and they're like, well, you know what, I can take care of myself, type of a
yeah, yeah,
thing. And
yeah,
so I
yeah.
think that needs to reflect that. I get it. The only thing that I would just say is the CG, at the beginning of the movie, man, I wasn't convinced with the CGI.
Oh, is it? Which parts?
There was one bit in the beginning bit where the king, the first king, the centuries
Oh,
ago
okay.
king,
Yep, yep,
and I
yep.
was just like, "What is this? Is this going to be one of those movies?" But it picks up and there's obviously they do better with it. But
Mm,
what do you reckon about Millie Bobby Brown taking on this kind of, because we know she's been in Godzilla and that is those
mm.
big budget movies, and you know, could we see her more in this kind of action orientated role?
Yes, but I don't think in anything really hardcore. I think this
Mm,
is kind of like the level at the moment, I think.
yeah.
And even saying that, some of the deaths that happened in this were kind of were a little bit hardcore. The dragon flattened a few
Mm,
people, but yeah, I think
mm,
this is still her lane. She's still young. Her audience is going to be a young audience, so I think
yeah.
they're going to keep her in this lane for now until she maybe grows up a bit more.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
and
so
then, yeah, absolutely, totally agree with what you're saying. On the flip side to this movie, there's another movie which it was very similar about. I'm not sure if you saw this, but I reviewed it on the show years ago. It was called Ready or Not, so I'm not sure if you remember it, and it's a
yes, yes,
very,
yes,
very
yes,
similar plot.
yes,
This young girl, young bride,
yeah,
she gets married into this family who are rich,
yeah,
but the reason why they want the son to marry this girl is so that she's
yeah,
a sacrifice to the devil,
yeah,
or to like a demon type of a thing.
yeah.
So it's very, very similar. So I kind of found that interesting.
Samara Weaving, which is
Tamara Weaving, she's
the,
Thingy's
the niece
niece.
Weaving, isn't it? Missed Agent Smith from Netflix, but yeah, that's a good film.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's good. So what do you reckon in terms of kind of her career, man? I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
I think
she's
she's
gonna do massively well. There's no doubt about
massive.
that. Yeah, the world's her, her oyster at the moment. She's still young and she's been
Mm,
making movies and TV shows from when she was a teenager, early
yeah,
teenager. So yeah, she's set. She's set.
I reckon. I mean, at some point, Marvel, Disney will come
Yeah,
knocking on her door, man.
yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well, listen, go check that out and let us know what you think. Um, it's called Damsel. It's on Netflix, and Friday night, Saturday night movie.
yeah.
A Netflix and chill movie, basically.
There you go. And next week we're gonna see her again because it's Godzilla. So I think she might. I think she's in the Godzilla versus Kong, not
Mm,
versus Kong, but Godzilla and Kong. That's out next
Because
week.
I know Tyree Henry
Brian
Tyree.
Tyree Henry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know he's in it.
Yeah, he's in it. I'm not sure if Millie Bobby Brown is in it, but we'll see, maybe. But either way, Godzilla is the big film we're going to be chatting about
Yeah,
next week. I think. I think it's the next week. I think so. Let's see what happens.
yeah. And then there's another big one that's coming out, Deval.
Ghostbusters Afterlife. Maybe that's next week. I think Godzilla's the week after, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ghostbusters is out next week
and
as well.
also one that I want to watch and people are talking about it is the Roadhouse movie on Amazon Prime.
Oh yes, that's out. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Next week, that's out
yeah.
as well. So we'll probably try and catch that one as well. All right, listen, look, folks, that is it. That's all we've got time for on this week's episode. Keep it locked with the Flixters, and we're going to be bringing you more movies, more reviews, more banter, more of the same. Hit us
There's
up on
that.
subscribe, do the usual, and we'll see you on the next one.